G just uploaded a video about like 35 minutes ago talking about boss design and Path of Exile 2. Now, I haven't seen this video at all personally, but I think that this is something worth really looking into. Over the course of many interviews that we've seen across for Jonathan Rogers and Mark Roberts from many creators like DM, Ziggy, Dreamcore, Taka Try, we've seen a lot of focus with PoE2 be very centered around combat. Most of the focus has been on like melee, for example, like I've mentioned before in stream, Josh Strife Hayes talking about like why melee is bad, and Jonathan Rogers talking about, you know, the rigs being all different, and all so on and so forth. Just really like amazing eye-opening information that GGG like is really open about talking about. And we've kind of seen this like change in philosophy and how they're making melee combat better in PoE2, and also there's some remnants of it in PoE1, albeit with some limitations. But let's take a look at this video personally. I'm very curious to see if there's anything new about boss design they're going to talk about. Let's give it a look. There's Torgol the Defiler. My god, that animation's amazing. Hey, that's like the Matador, the bone construct from the Sandwraith kit. Whoa! That is a new entrance for the Perennial King. And Oleana's there. Look at her. When she told the Iron Count she'll find someone else, she really wasn't kidding. And she'll probably find someone else, and someone else, and someone else until we have to probably kill her. I think her name is Oleana, by the way. Or Ileana or something like that. But the reason I'm mentioning the Perennial King here is because in the demo and until recently, we've seen his first boss fight, which he flees with the beast and you go to keep chasing him and you fight Torgol. We saw a small segment of his final boss arena, or I think is his boss arena, unless you fight him more than twice. And we saw that in the latest early access reveal trailer. But this is interesting, damn. And the beast is laying around there. That's going to be such a cool intro to see.
Honestly, making bosses in Path of Exile 2 is the most satisfying part of the job. It is so enjoyable from start to end. Even after it's gone out, it's satisfying. I think if I could choose to do anything all the time, full time, that would be the single thing.
I don't blame him, especially with all the love they've put in. Did I do this on or off? Okay. With all the love they've put into these boss fights and all the interactions and all the mechanics, yeah, I agree. He looks so happy talking about it. That's Torgol's theme. Origins of the boss, okay.
Bosses in Path of Exile 2 come about two major ways. You obviously have the more traditional approach where you create a narrative and you design a boss around that narrative.
No noose this time.
I'll remove your head myself! He just fucking jumped so perfectly. You don't show the jump.
The second way, which I think is something that can be very unique and some of the more interesting encounters, is
what is
seeing
that?
the creative genius of our artists do what they need to do. They can come up with something completely abstract, and this is how you get some of the most awesome things, because all of a sudden it can be something with 100 tentacles or 9 limbs or no limbs or 1,000 teeth or none, and obviously things that aren't even in my imagination.
That's a pretty cool thought, actually. Like he mentioned before, like you can have the narrative drive it, or sometimes you can create a narrative out of set interaction. That's a really cool aspect of it too. I think the trick though is like if making sure that your art directors have a very good sense of direction how you want the game to go. Like for example, if you just tell some directors, hey, just make some stuff up, and your art directors happen to have absolutely zero understanding of, you know, the world of your game and, you know, the world building, some of the story bits, I think then it becomes a little bit problematic. But I mean, we all know grinding your games operates very differently. All of their developers, all their coworkers and staff members, they have a very established understanding of how their game works, how they want it to be. And I think all of them are equally invested into the world. And I think that's what also separates them a lot from a lot of other games. Oh, I forgot what his name was. He's on the Act 3 boss. Oh, there we go. I can't wait to play this game. Okay, let's talk about design now.
Well, a boss in Path of Exile 2 ultimately is the culmination of
Hello, so
decades of experience.
that looked like the drowned sea hag from Diablo 4. But way cooler, though. Instead, she's a pond hag. I hate to make that comparison.
Path of Exile 2 ultimately is the culmination of decades of experience, making hundreds, if not thousands, of bosses in its predecessor, taking all that knowledge together, and puts it in a package that delivers the best of what could possibly be of boss encounters in an action RPG environment with bosses that are utilizing Souls-like mechanics.
I love that he makes a notion of that. It's Souls-like mechanics. And it's very evident, and not in a bad way, that PoE 2 does definitely take some Dark Souls influence. I mean, the dodge roll is a big presence, is a big indicator of it. Although, I mean, a lot of games do the dodge roll, but the roll in this particular instance feels very fluid, like how a dodge roll, like in Dark Souls 3, like feels quite fluid. So there's that, and of course, some of like the grittier themes of some of the bosses that we've seen.
Despite the fact there's over 100 bosses, and
Oh yeah, over 100
more to
bosses.
come, every single boss fight is completely unique, hand animated from scratch. It is designed from scratch. It is balanced from scratch, and it.
Wait, no, are you serious? Wait, but I thought that it was difficult for a team of 9,000 developers to make unique bosses that aren't just reskins of or reiterations of Tomb Lord and Scourge of the Land with the same animations and same framework. I thought that that wasn't possible. But maybe it's not possible because, you know, when you load one boss with unique animations, you know, you gotta load in that boss stash tab as well, because they could have items and equipment and movesets, and just loading all those things is so difficult, you know. Like, imagine if two bosses, the really cool unique bosses, were in a fight in Diablo 4, they would have to load each other's stash tabs. What if they try to trade in the middle of it? Wouldn't that just mess with the game? It just wouldn't be able to keep up, you know? Like, also, like, adding 10% more bosses or 10% more monsters in a map would just risk breaking the game. I'm gonna stop now.
Doesn't reuse a single asset in our library or anything like that.
That's crazy. Doesn't reuse a single asset. Even if they did, I would totally be okay with it. I mean, unless they reuse the same asset like 500 times. But wow, that's crazy. Free game, by the way. There's Torgal. That's not to say that there isn't influence, though. All right, balancing. That's an important one, too. All right, we'll continue this.
Especially compared to its predecessor, you have to, in a single attempt, reduce the boss from full life to 0 in order to then progress through.
Ah, so you
If the
can't
player
continue
cannot
like
defeat them
usual.
now, then they're stuck. Which helps in many ways because it makes the bosses feel so much more satisfying to kill once you do overcome it and learn it. It is very, very important to us that Path of Exile bosses, mechanics, especially around telegraphing, feels fair to the user, as opposed to them being cheated out of something when they happen to die. We want to make sure that hitboxes are accurate, and of course, when something hits you, it feels like it hits you.
Good sound design there. I agree. That's a probably really good philosophy to have. I think the tricky though part about you changing this though is that you can create a little bit of uncertainty because this is a really big change. In PoE 1, you can kind of brute force your way through a boss just by keep constantly spamming it. And I know with maps you have like 5 tries. So I think this is going to be quite a somewhat of a difficult change for newer players, such as myself too, to kind of adapt to the play style. But again, like with different ways to evade the attacks, and like they're saying that the attacks are easier to like see and telegraphing is fair and balanced. I think that it should be fine overall. I think it's just a matter of like, this is a different game, has different philosophies, but overall it's still Path of Exile.
It ultimately makes it feel that much more satisfying when you kill it, and you feel that much more pride when you are able to overcome something difficult, knowing that the game hasn't robbed you of this thing.
His head
You wanna see
just
that healthy balance
bonked.
where some people are struggling, and you want to see that moment, that second-hand moment where someone overcomes that challenge and is so happy for doing so. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, damn! What is it with all these bosses just losing their heads? Well, I guess that explains that. Overall, good video by Grinding Gear. That's good insight. Sorry. I think that it goes a long way personally again, so that's going to work out really, really eloquently. Mark made some really good points on changing the boss design a lot. I think we've definitely learned a lot, and we all know that Grinding Gear games they're very serious about really evolving from their predecessor of Path of Exile 1. And I know people will say this as a meme sometimes, but they're really sticking true to this love letter that they had for Diablo 2. I think Path of Exile 2 is an amazing evolution of what they're going through and what they're pursuing, and I cannot wait to play this on November 15th. If y'all checked my Gamescom reaction video that I did with the Kiko gang, I already requested the time off, and guess who already got it approved? Me. But with that being said, though, this is the Rye signing out. If y'all like this video, please feel free to leave a like and a subscription on my YouTube channel, or if you're watching on Twitch, leave a follow. Lets me know that y'all want to see more of the content. And until later, peace.